Here we are.
We totally did not hear that intro music at all, but it's fine. Welcome to our next week of the All In Podcast with That Beat Bryce and Ryan the Rock. How are you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing super good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Just completed week 1 of the road trip. A little tired, but yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, where have you been? Where have you been going? I know you've been bopping around a bunch.
Yeah, so I went to Pittsburgh, and then I went to Lancaster, and now I'm in Atlantic City. So staying at the Borgata, so ready to run it up tomorrow.
Dude,
should be fun.
So what are you going to play tomorrow? Are you just going to be playing some 2-5?
Yeah, play some 2-5. Hope Ryan DePaulo comes and hops in. But yeah, just 2-5. Last year they had the Borgata Winter Poker Open, so wish we could do that this year, but obviously with COVID not available. But cash games are always alive and well at the Borgata, so should be a good time.
That's exciting. Well, I know you and I wanted to touch on a bit of a topic today that's been making the rounds in the poker world, that Negranu in the Doug Polk Daniel Negranu grudge match is on a bit of a run now. Is it now 5 or 6 sessions in a row?
I think it's about 5 sessions. He was down about $1 million, and now he's down only about 485. So obviously he's made a massive comeback. And Doug Polk, who traditionally has trashed Daniel Negranu, specifically his heads-up game, says he's got to give credit where credit is due. And he said he's improved vastly. Who knows how much of that was from Daniel Negranu's team or just Daniel Negranu himself. But regardless, I think there has been a vast increase in the quality of his play. And personally, I'm rooting for him. And I think this would be an even bigger comeback than the Galfond Challenge, because Galfond was thought to have a big edge over his opponent, whereas Doug Polk is considered one of the best heads-up players in the world. So while he may be a little rusty, he definitely is still considered to be one of the best, one of the elite. And I'm rooting for Daniel.
Yeah, and it's been great. I've been so interested in all the stuff that's come on the outside of it too. Like, for instance, Jonathan Little has been putting out a lot of heads up, no limit content where he goes through solvers and in detail will cover specific hands where they deviated from the solver and made a mistake, or they stuck with the solver and they got max value for it. And so I think that like all the lessons that are being learned about heads up, no limit from this match is great for poker. And I think it's even better for poker than Antonio versus Phil was.
Oh, I 100% agree.
A true grudge match. This is like a dance off. I mean, I don't know if that's a really good way of putting it, but like it's less brutal, it's less bloody, it's less, me against you. It's like we're going at it technically against each other's strategies. And Doug Polk, as you've been saying, has been praising Negranu for making the adjustments.
Yeah,
absolutely. Doesn't get caught speeding as much anymore, and he's making the changes that he needs to. And I mean, I'm so happy for him.
Yeah, I think it's great, and I think this has gotten probably more publicity, and I think it's awesome watching Joey Ingram and Landon Tice and just their energy on camera. I don't know how much of the stream you've been watching, but it's cool to see Landon literally go from 0 to hero in a year. And their commentary is really funny, although it's not always just strict poker terms, but that's what we need. Speaking of that, did you happen to see the YouTube video recently that came out making fun of poker vloggers, like the Pocket Quickities video? For some reason, I think they took it off YouTube, but if you haven't seen it, make sure to go on YouTube and try and find that. But yeah, that was a hilarious video. But yeah, definitely make sure to follow this match. Personally, I'm a huge fan of Heads Up. I've gotten Ryan to get the itch a little bit, but yeah, massive fan. You can definitely learn a lot. It's been really interesting to just see them dissect these hands, like watching the hands that Doug decides to call down with King High, Ace High, and just scratching your head and just being like, wow, like is that actually the plus EV call there? Is he calling just to try to look like a sicko? Like, what are all the factors leading to the hero call? You know what I mean?
It's so crazy. And I mean, and like I was saying, talk about the Jonathan Little thing, seeing him, explaining to people in Heads Up No Limit, things are different. And like, you have to be calling wider and playing wider. And, your 3-betting ranges are significantly different than when you're playing against 9 different people.
I think they're 3-betting way wider than a typical poker player would think. Like the Jack 7 suited, they're just putting in a 3-bet like a large percentage of the time. So they're definitely popping up, especially in position with less than marginal hands. But yeah, without further ado, do you want to introduce our amazing guest for today?
Absolutely. So today's guest on the All In Poker podcast is one many of our viewers will be familiar with. From his time on ESPN on the stats and info team to getting hired as a producer for the Live at the Bike poker stream, to only recently joining Nick Vertucci in owning and producing the Hustler Casino live stream, Ryan Feldman has certainly made a name for himself in the poker world. Be sure to check out his social media links below, especially his Instagram, where you will be treated to shots of his adorable and aptly named dog, Bluffy. Without further ado, let's welcome Ryan to the podcast.
Hey, what's up, guys?
How's it going? Happy to have you on. I'm excited to ask you some questions and just learn a little bit more about the new stream.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Maybe I'll even have Bluffy make a cameo during this.
I was about to add.
We're excited for that one for sure. Do you want to kick us off, Ryan?
Yeah, absolutely. So I wanted to start with ESPN, actually, because I grew up in Connecticut. I still live in Connecticut, and it's always was a dream of mine to go and work for ESPN and be on the TV as one of the personalities. So I have to know, there's a 3-parter. What was it like working there? Did you like living in Connecticut? And are there any stories or lessons that still stick with you?
So the first thing you said was, did I like working at ESPN? Yeah.
Yeah. What was it like?
Or what was it like working at ESPN? It was interesting. When you're on like a campus, I wouldn't say it's like the middle of nowhere, but I mean, you know what Connecticut is like, and it's just like a normal suburban area where ESPN is located. It's maybe 20, 30 minutes outside of Hartford. It's just normal stuff. You go to work, there's a Subway, there's Dunkin' Donuts or whatever. It's just a normal suburb. You drive 20 minutes, you go to the city, so to speak, to go to bars and stuff. You got your normal restaurants that you can go to. But most people spent most of their time just working on campus. It's a big campus. It's fun. There's thousands of people working there every day. It's huge. It's almost impossible to ever even walk through the entirety of campus or go through every building. I didn't know what every building was. I was never at every building. There's parts of campus where you had to drive a little bit, and it's a huge campus. It's probably equivalent to a decent sized college campus.
Yeah.
And you walk through every day. You walk through the middle of campus, and you see tons of people walking through. You say hi to people. Most of the people, you have no idea who they are. A lot of people you see, famous people. You see the anchors. You see the talent. You see random guests. I remember one time I was walking down to leave, and I saw Snoop Dogg in the lobby.
What?
Or one time I was walking in, and I saw Manny Pacquiao standing outside. Stuff like that. That's normal there. You're walking down the hallway and you're walking by, Keyshawn Johnson and Jerry Rice or whatever. Right. You're like, oh, that's cool. Hey guys.
Yeah,
but there's just so many people that work there and so many things going on a daily basis. So many shows. It's pretty cool. I mean, I worked in stats and information as a researcher. So what that means is I was responsible for coming up with interesting stats and information and tidbits that they use on the air and building graphics and just anything to make the show smarter or make the talent sound smarter to support some sort of point they're trying to make with a statistical fact, trying to help their arguments, things like that. So I worked mostly college basketball in Bristol, and then I moved to LA later and worked in NBA Countdown. But when you're there, you work on every sport at some point. You're working on SportsCenter, you're working on random stat packets. You have to be able to research every sport to a degree, but we worked as a team. There was a lot of people in the research department, so people were specialists in different fields. Yeah. And if I needed something in tennis, I would ask someone that's better at tennis how to do that. If someone needed something in basketball, they would ask me. But yeah, it was a cool job. I spent a lot of time, especially those first 2 years, I just spent a lot of time working. Even when I wasn't working, I was at home trying to come up with cool things to use because I really wanted to stand out and be a good researcher, and I wanted my stuff to be on the air. Yeah. I was constantly just working on projects, working on things. I got to write some articles. I got to work with some really cool talent. So yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, it sounds like a pretty sick gig. Yeah. Sounds like every kid's dream to be able to work at ESPN. It sounds like an interesting bubble where I'm sure you just saw a ton of crazy people. How long did you end up working there, by the way?
So I was there for 5 years. I started in 2011, November 2011, or October 2011. I think it was October, November. I started there. Yeah, October. I was in Connecticut for about 3 years, I believe. And then an opening came about for NBA Countdown in LA. They need a new researcher out here, so they have a small studio in LA, and I jumped on it, and I was like, wow, that'd be cool to live in LA instead of living in Connecticut. I got nothing going on here. And, yes, and so then I was into poker a lot as well at that time, and I was playing a lot in Connecticut on my off days because there was nothing else to do there. That kind of answers your second question. They're really not. I mean, it was an okay suburban area. I come from the suburbs, like it's fine, but like I was just working and that was it. Like I had nothing else going on. And all the people like my peers, we all had different off days. So, some people are off on Tuesday, Wednesday, 1 week, Thursday, Friday, 1 week, Monday, Tuesday, another week, and then some people are off weekends, but it's all random. And so it's really hard to have a social life and to be, go out with your friends every week. It's tough because we don't have the same off days. So maybe once every 2 months we'd have like a similar off day and we could go out to dinner or, go somewhere or whatever. So I ended up just kind of on my off days, I just went to the casino and I would stay at Foxwoods for like 2 days and I would just play poker because like I didn't want to like sit at home and do nothing. And so I was already into poker when I moved out there, but I got way more into poker there because that's when I first started playing 510, and I just would spend like two and a half full days at Foxwoods just playing poker, and that's it. Then I got the job at NBA Countdown and I transferred to LA. I realized LA would just be a better lifestyle, being able to do more things outside of work. It would be more high profile to work on NBA instead of college basketball. There was a change of pace, and the scariest part was moving away from the East Coast because that's where my family was. But I realized how much fun it might be just to live in LA, and I definitely am glad that I did that because obviously everything worked out since then.
Yeah, it sounds like it did. So our next question for you is, what are your poker aspirations today? I'm assuming you're largely focused on the production side of things, but have you been hitting the felt yourself? Obviously during COVID, it's a little harder, but have you been putting in many hours?
Yeah, I've been playing more poker over the last few months than I ever have probably. So yeah. I mean, kind of similar to like, in a way, to when I was in Connecticut and on those off days, I had nothing else to do. Like I just played a ton of poker. Now we're in quarantine, we're in COVID, like you can't go out, you can't go to bars, like I've just been playing a ton of poker live and on apps or on an app. Just I've literally played poker every day for the last 9-10 months or whatever.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So yeah, I'm playing a ton. I was just playing like app poker, private games for the first few months of quarantine. And then once the summer hit, I started getting into the live private games out here in LA, which is just, the amount of games and the games that exist are just insane, like way more than any other city, I'm sure, and bigger games and better games. And it's just insane. You couldn't even imagine. Like if you're not here, you have no idea what it's like. You can't even imagine what it's like. But I gradually got more and more into those games. And I started over this maybe mid to late summer, started getting involved in some games. And then, now I'm like, I'm at a live game probably, I don't know, 5 days a week now, sometimes more.
Nice.
So and then I'm also doing some app games as well. So,
staying busy for sure.
Yeah, it's been a lot, but I am anxious to get back to reality, and I'm kind of just doing this now because that's just what the world is right now, and I'm trying to take advantage. I'm trying to make money. I'm also trying to, this is like my form of social life these days is going to these live games, right? Like you go to these games and you get, you drink, you got pretty girls, you got poker, like, you got people to talk to, meet cool people. Like that's my social life these days because in LA, everything's closed down. You can't go out to a restaurant. You can't go out, you can't go to a bar, unless you go to like a house party or something, there's nothing to do. So it tackles like multiple things for me. I get to play poker. I try to make money and, I get to have a social life. And so I'm doing that a lot, but I do Yeah, because of obviously what we're going to talk about with the Hustler Casino Live. I am anxious for all this to get back to normal because, yes, it's been great. It's been very good for me financially over quarantine, way more than I can ever expect. It's just been amazing. But I care more about the show than money or anything else, and it's always been my goal. And I care a lot about legacy, and I care a lot about having an impact in the community. And, you know, I would trade a lot to be able to have a show. And now that we do have it, and now that we're getting ready for it, it's very exciting. I'm just anxious to get there. I'm anxious for COVID to go away, so to speak, and for the casino to be able to open so we can start this. And it's just taking a lot longer than I had hoped, but it's going to happen.
Absolutely. You're not alone in that sentiment.
Oh my goodness. Everyone feels that way. So you were recently on the Under the Gun podcast from Crush Life Poker, and you were talking about those experiences at ESPN and playing higher stakes poker. And you said that you had a unique position to handle the egos and personalities that were thrown at you while you were producing Live at the Bike. So what are the differences and difficulties between setting up a streamed 5-5 game and a streamed 100-200 game? How crazy is that difference?
Let's see. Well, I mean, if I was putting together a 100-200 game, I'm just going to try a lot harder to put together a super sick special specific lineup than I am in a 5-5 game. I mean, a 5-5 game, you're going to be producing it more for some entertainment, but also for kind of just like educational. Like, it doesn't really matter as much like who's playing in a 5-5 game. Like, if people want to watch a 5-5 game, they're going to watch a 5-5 game. It's really hard to market a 5-5 game based on players involved, right? Unless you just have like a super sick specific lineup. You're like, oh, Gil Plummer, Israeli Ron, Dennis the Menace. Like, you have to have like these best lineup for a 5-5 game. But the problem is, like, those guys usually want to play a little bit bigger. So, for example, like there was another show, Poker Night in America, and they tried to do some games at Gardens in LA, and they had a good format in terms of they wanted to get celebrities in there and play. I don't know if you guys remember this, but they had these big names playing really small, playing 5-5, and it's like, that's great, but it's like people want to see bigger games. Like, they want to see this big name person winning or losing $10K, not $300, right? So it's really, really hard to market a 5-5 game. It has to be like the sickest game ever. So usually in a 5-5 game, I'm not really going to try that hard. I'm just going to more like do people favors that want to get on the show, that really want to be on stream to show their family or whatever, or guys like yourself where you're like, hey, I really want to play. Sure. Like, I'm going to put a couple action guys in there to make it like a good game, right? But it's really like doing people favors, getting people in that really want to play, and just like having it just to have it. Where in a 100-200 game, I cannot do anyone favors. 100-200 game, it has to be the best lineup for entertainment. It has to be a good enough lineup for those all those players to play. Like, anyone will play 5-5, right? There's hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, 100,000 people that would love to play on our show in a 5-5 stream. Like, it's just a fact. Like, anyone would do it, even if it wasn't that good of a game, right? They're just going to, whatever. Okay, I lose $2,000. Great. But at least you get to play on stream. No one's doing that in a 100-200 game. You know, if like my partner, Nick, you know, if I'm like, hey, I got this 100-200 game, like, obviously he can afford to play and he loves playing poker, but he's not going to play if the game isn't pretty decent, right? If I'm like, hey, man, I got this great game. It's Garrett, Andy, you know, John Cohen, Art, Dan, Zach, like, and that's it. You want to play? You're like, hell no, fuck out of here. Like, I'm not playing in that lineup. I'm not. He's like, you know, he's rich, but he's not stupid. You know, so like, even Garrett wouldn't want to play in that game. You know, he would probably do it just because like maybe there's nothing else to play, but he wouldn't even want to play in that. And so you have to put a game together that's good enough to attract everybody. And so you have to know how to build it from the ground up. And that's where like a lot of people struggle in building these lineups, and something that I've had to learn along the years. I've talked to Garrett a lot about this as well, just trying to work together with him, him being one of the regulars in the game, to know how to put these lineups together the right way and market them. So you start with a few players that, you know, are going to be attractable to other players, and you get a couple of those guys in, And then now you get like your next level players in that are like, maybe like recreationals, but like not that bad. And you get some of them in. And now the lineup's just amazing. And it doesn't matter who you fill it with because any pro is going to want to play in that game. You don't start it off by saying like, hey, so-and-so businessman, so far I got Garrett and Andy. Do you want to play? Like, no, they don't want to do that. But Garrett and Andy are always going to play in the game, so you leave them till last. Or at least you don't fill any other pros besides them. So you just have to know how to build these lineups together, and it takes a lot more work, takes a lot more strategy, takes a lot more like marketing in terms of like, what I say and how I say it and how I present it to people to get them to commit to the game. And also in a 5-5 game, I'm going to have alternates, right? I'm going to have people that are lined up like, yeah, I'll play. You don't have that in a 100-200 game. You have to make sure that those 7-8 people all get there and get there on time. If not, you're screwed because you don't have – like you might have pros lined up as alternates, but that's not what I want. I don't have other players lined up as alternates to keep the game good. Sometimes these games are mediocre enough where like, even the ones I'm putting together where if 1 or 2 people drop off last minute, the game might fall apart and the other 5 people might bail and not want to play because now the game isn't that good. And that goes back, that like falls back on me because it's like my reputation of how I am at building games. If people can't trust me that the games that I invite them to are what I say they're going to be, or if they're good enough, then, they're going to stop trusting me to play my games in the future. And I can't do that.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like a really difficult process, and it's not like you're just sending out a mass snap or a sign-up list. You definitely have to figure out what the correct lineup is that people want to watch and that the players want to play in. And it sounds like you've done an amazing job of doing that and been building a viewership constantly. So props to you on that one. My next question is you already answered. So let's do this one. My personal favorite question to ask is, what is the craziest thing you have ever seen at the poker tables? Is it the Armenian mic incident? Is that the top of the list? Or what would you say it would be?
That was I've seen some crazy stuff in private games that probably can't talk about, but involving like whatever drugs and stuff like that, but girls or whatever, but that's different from casino poker.
I gotta say, the look on your face when he took the chips back and you knew it was about to be a thing was the look only the guy who made the game could possibly have. This look of like, oh God, I have to do this right now. Yeah. I made this game and now I have to argue with him. No.
That's probably the craziest thing. I remember right after it happened, because we were on, I don't know if people know this, but like a lot of times on Fridays, we usually have like a really long delay. So it's like a 5-hour delay or something. We start the game really early on Fridays because the Friday players want to play at like 1 o'clock. They don't want to be in Friday rush hour traffic where the mid-stakes games, they come after work at like, 6 o'clock, 5:30, whatever. But so we start these games at like 12, 1, 2 o'clock. So we're on whatever delay that day, 4 or 5 hours. And so as soon as it happened, so actually I remember like Johnny Vibes and his brother, Andrew Moreno, actually commentated that game randomly that day. And they were driving from San Diego or Vegas or something, and they weren't there yet. So like when this happened, they weren't even there. So I had to tell them, I didn't want to spoil it, but when they got there, I had to tell them like, hey, something crazy happened like at around this time, like just be prepared, when this hand happens, make sure you're paying attention. And I didn't want to spoil it for them. And I remember right after it happened or right after the show ended, I remember I texted or called Joey Ingram and I was like, hey, like the craziest thing ever just happened. Like this is going to be like the biggest story in poker probably. Just letting you know to watch today around this time, like something crazy happened. I'll let you watch. And you can see what happened, but you're probably going to want to do something on this. So yeah, it's just I realized right after it happened in the moment how bizarre and crazy it was.
And it wasn't even the first time he'd done it that night. Oh, I was just joking with you, Ryan. Oh my God.
The crazy thing is like after that, a few times like over the next couple of years, like something similar would randomly happen to me in a game. And I'd be like, really, why does this keep happening to me? Like I'd get in a hand where somebody would angle hard like that, or, someone would say they didn't do something they did. And I'm just like, I'm like, why is everyone trying to take advantage of me? Like this stuff just keeps happening. crazy.
Yeah, that's so horrible. And I hated how the floor handled it. They were asking you. Obviously, you didn't want to put the guy in a weird spot, but there's no decision. He put his money in. Like, there's no joking in poker.
I talked more about this thing than anything ever.
Yeah, we won't. We won't but
people are like, "Oh, you're the guy from that hand where the guy." Be like, "Hey, I just saw this video." I'm like, "Yeah, thanks." Like, "Hey, did you ever get the money?" Like, I think literally like last night someone asked me about it. Like, it never ends. People just see that video forever.
Yeah.
At least it's big publicity. No news is bad news.
Yeah, and it isn't like you did anything that was bad in the video. You didn't yell at him or throw your chips or do anything.
It was funny because like the previous summer, so that was 2000. I think that was 2008. 2018, right? So 2017 was like the first year that I was, doing Live with the Bike, and we started having the big games and everything, and so I started getting like, some publicity from that. And I remember I was at the World Series that summer, and like it was really cool. Like so many people came up to me and they're like, "Hey, you do Live with the Bike. Like, thank you. Like you do a great job. I love the show. Like you're doing such a great job. It's so cool. Like Doug Polk week, like whatever, and then the next summer, 2018 was right after that. And they're like, "Hey, you're the guy from that Armenian mic hand." Like I would have a dealer. I remember at the World Series, I had a dealer, like I'm being dealt, like I'm playing a tournament, and the dealer was like said something like, "Oh, like it's a joke," or like, "You can take your bet back. It's a joke." Like he's just like trolling me, And then I remember there's some like random Euro from like I don't know, like Poland or something, Bulgaria, who's like talking about it, and it's like, damn, like everybody in the world saw this and knows that it's me now. So that was what I was recognized for that summer instead of running the show. They're like, they didn't know I ran the show. They're just like, "Oh, you're the guy that was in that hand."
Right. So, I mean, speaking of people who are on that show, so, Garrett Adelstein is obviously one of the best known players, in the poker world right now, in large part due to his numerous Live at the Bike appearances. He's really made a name for himself there. Was it hard for you to convince him to play initially? And do you think he credits you in some small part for his newly found fame?
Yeah, I'm sure he does credit me a little bit. I think that he's said over the years, we're good friends, and he's always said that, he appreciates me being able to put together these games for him and work with him, and, being able to like kind of get him in every week and help build him into a superstar, and, just put lineups together so that he has games to play. But, at the same time, he knows that most of his success and fame is because he's worked hard in poker for a long time, not just in like being able to play hands, but also in his like social ability and networking ability and, likability factor and all of that. So, I mean, a lot of it he knows is just kind of like coming into fruition, all of the work that he's put in over the years in different aspects. But yeah, so early on when I lived in LA, I met him just like, I remember it's funny. My first interaction with him, I didn't know who he was. And I was playing 510, 1500 cap at Commerce. This is probably like, I don't even know, like probably 2015 or something. And I moved out here in 2014. And I remember I'm playing 510, and it's like the middle of the night. And these two guys sit down at my table, and they both appear to be drunk and having a great time. And it was Garrett. And it was, I won't say what his real name is, but the person that you guys know as DGAF. You guys know who that is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So they both they're good friends. They both sit down at my table in 5-10 game, and they're just talking and they're laughing and they're really funny, and they seem pretty drunk, and they're just like going crazy in hands. Like they're playing them. Like there was this one hand where it was something like this. It was like we're playing 5-10, and it goes like limp, 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 right? And then it goes Garrett in the small blind makes it like 2,000.
No, stop.
Okay. DJ AF on his left flats with like $500 back. Okay, and then everyone else folds. Okay, the flop is like, I want to say the flop was like, I don't know, like ace, king, 5, right? Yeah. Garrett bets like $20 or something. DF calls. The turn is like a brick. Garrett bets like like $100. DJF calls. The river's like a brick. Garrett goes all in for like another $300. DJF calls. Garrett turns over like complete air. DJF has jacks. You know, and I'm just like, I'm like watching these guys play, and they're like, I could tell, like, so within like an orbit or two, like obviously I'm smart, I play poker, I understand things, and I'm watching for an orbit or two, and I can tell right away these are actually really good players, but they're just like they're just having a good time, and they probably like don't care about these stakes or whatever, or they're just trying to like do things to like make themselves look crazy so they get action. I don't really know because I didn't know the guys at the time, and I'm like just watching this, and everybody else at the table, like all the fun players at the table, like I could tell they think that these guys are like huge whales that are just going to give away money, and I'm like, no, these guys are smart, and they're just kind of like playing the game, and they're having fun and whatever. And of course, like every hand that I get in with Garrett, I somehow just lose. Like he stacks me. I remember I guess wrong and he just stacks me. You know, he just has a set somehow. And but they played for like a few hours and they both won like a few thousand, even though they were playing like crazy. Anyway, that was my first time meeting them. And then I kind of just like would see Garrett around, say hi to him, and I remember he called me my nickname, and I think I'm still on his phone as this is Jersey Ryan, because he has a friend named Mike who he said that night him and DJF said that I look like him, and we're both born in Jersey, so he would call me Jersey Ryan. So anyway, every time I'd see him in the casino, he'd be like, "Hey, Jersey Ryan," and then anyway, so I was like friendly with him for a bit, just from seeing him at the casino. That's it, and then like one time, a mutual friend like invited me over to his house on like a football Sunday, and he just had some people over just like watching football, drinking, having fun. He's like gambling on games and whatever. And so I got closer with him then we went out that night. So I was like, I was like friendly with him at that point. And then once I started Live at the Bike, shortly after that, when I started doing the Friday games, I reached out to him because I knew that he's a really good player, but I also knew that he's like action and he's entertaining. He buys deep. Like I knew that he'd be great for the stream. But I knew that like people didn't really know him. He was kind of just everybody in LA knew him, but like I knew outside of LA, like he wasn't known because he was just this high stakes crusher in LA. And I guess I realized later that he did some Run It Once videos as well, so some people knew who he was. But so I asked him to play on stream, and he didn't want to. He was like, like I don't know, like I just don't want to show my cards. Like it's not really worth it to me. I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. Then I booked the Phil Hellmuth game and the Antonio Esfandiari game in August that year that we had, which was one of our first, like after Doug Polk Week, that was like one of our first like real games that got a lot of attention. That was in late August, and like the week of I think it was the Antonio game, like the week of, like a couple of days before, he texts me out of nowhere. I hadn't talked to him in a couple of months, and a few months in, he's like, "Hey, like I changed my mind. Like I want to play on the show. Do you have any seats like for the show on Friday?" And I was like, "Oh, wow, sick." And I had literally like, it was full, but I literally had just had, I forget who it was, but somebody had just backed out and I had a spot, but I had a couple alternates and, I had like Brian Kim and like someone else. So I was like deciding who would be next. But then he texted me and I'm like, oh, wow, actually someone just pulled out. Like, man, like Garrett's really good. But I was like, this would be like the perfect person for this lineup. Like he's entertaining. He's this enigma. Like, and I was like, yes, you're in. So at first he had hit me up and he was like, hey, like if a seat opens, I'll be around. Like I would love to come in and be an alternate. Like I'll be down the street. Like just hit me up. And then that's right. Then like the next day someone canceled and I reached out to him and I was like, hey, I want you to play. And so that was the first time he played. I believe it was August 25th, 2017 in that I believe that was the date. Either that or the week after. Those were like the two. It was either that or the week after that. But yeah, that was the first time that he played on the show. And once he played that one show, which was an amazing show, it was like, I don't remember everybody, but it was like Antonio, it was Nick, it was Ken, Andy. And I think after that, he was just like hooked and he was like, I want to play every week. And so eventually I realized that people loved Garrett, like right after that first week or two, like people were talking about him. And I'm like, I got to get this guy in every week. Like he's entertaining. He's fun. Like people like watching him play. Like I'm going to make him a main character in the show and market him. So we marketed him. We put a bunch of hands out that he played. I think, Ryan Fee was on that show as well. That's right. And we just kept marketing him and kept getting him back every week. And eventually I kind of just like, talked to him a lot so that we could be on the same page and so that he could be happy with the lineups. And we kind of just evolved from there.
That's awesome. He's personally one of my favorites, and he's obviously a very good player. While he may have been able to trick them, sounds like he worked his way up, and he definitely did not get his bankroll from Survivor. I'm sure of that one. Yeah, definitely one of my favorites.
Bryce, go ahead.
Sure. So during quarantine, I'm totally going to watch his name. Sean Yop, the GM at Hustler, reached out to you and Nick Fertucci to see if you were interested in Hustler Casino Live. Take us from that initial conversation to today. I'm really curious about how the experience is different building the stream from the ground up at Hustler versus taking over an established stream for Live at the Bike.
Yeah, good question. So I left Live at the Bike it was like a process to get out, but I left basically like a year and a half ago or so, or a little more than that actually. And so I kind of, when I left, I started looking to try to get a stream at another casino. So that was always my goal. Was another, once I left Live at the Bike, this is what I want. I want my own show. I want to have control. I don't want to have to, have these other partners, too many cooks in the kitchen. I want to, and I started talking to Nick, and Nick had some ideas, and I was like, hey, Nick's a great businessman. He's very passionate about poker. Like, let's do this. So we started talking to other casinos, and it took a while. And there was a couple ones that were, I won't say where, but they were really, really close to happening. Like a couple of times we thought it was going to happen, and it didn't. And then once quarantine hit, we started being more aggressive again and looking again. And then we kind of just focused on some other things poker-wise in the time being. And then in the summer, I kind of I put a tweet out just kind of telling everyone that what happened and that I wasn't with Live at the Bike anymore. I wasn't with the bike anymore. I wasn't going back and all of that. And I just was like, all right, you know what? Screw it. Like, because I just didn't talk about it for like a year and a half because I don't know. It was like they didn't, Live at the Bike didn't want to announce it for some reason. I didn't announce it. It was kind of awkward. And I was kind of, upset with how the process went and like how they treated me and stuff. And I kind of just didn't say anything. I was just internalizing it. The people in the like my group knew about it, but like the general public didn't know. And it just got to a certain point where I was like, you know what? Like, all right, there's no reason not to say anything now. So I tweeted something about it. And Sean Yapel, who's the GM at Hustler, I guess he had been following me on Twitter. He knew who I was. And he like responded to one of my tweets. And he said, hey, hit me up. I might have something for you. And I saw who he was. And I DM'd him. And I was like, you know what? Like, we haven't talked to Hustler yet. And we started talking. And me and Nick realized that he was really passionate about this. And we really liked the management there. And we realized that they'd be willing to, like, really dedicate themselves to this. And they believed in us. And, we kind of just went from there and it evolved. And we kind of, like, came to a verbal agreement pretty quickly. And then it took, a few months before we came to an actual agreement. But, yeah, that was we met with them, like, really quickly within a week of that initial conversation. It's a lot different. I mean, I would say when I was at Live at the Bike, we had other owners. I think, like you said, everything was established. I kind of just, my role was just produce the show, whatever. I did other things as well. I did social media, did this. But, like, things were in place, like we had a director. We had someone doing the books. We had people with different roles. And now it's like I'm going to be – me and Nick are going to be responsible for everything. So we have to hire people. We have to make sure all of the production equipment is purchased and with everything, we have to build a set. It's just literally everything. Like the players and building the shows, like that's easy. Like I know how to do that. That's my skill set. I've experienced that. I have all the players. Like that's going to be easy. Putting together amazing shows, it's going to be, first of all, the shows are going to be way better than they were before. Now that I have like full control of everything. And we're going to have like such a sick set and such sick production that everyone's going to want to play. But that stuff's easy. Like that's just secondhand or second nature rather. That's like, I know how to do that. That's my job. The stuff that I need to do that I haven't had to do before is, like I said, is build things, is test out equipment, is make sure we have all the equipment, is hiring people, things like that. So We're doing all that stuff now. We have commentators lined up. We're gonna have a director hired once we get closer. I'm gonna be just kind of overseeing like everything in terms of production and delegating responsibilities. It's gonna be a lot more work. Like I did a crazy amount, like a crazy shit ton amount of work at Live with the Bike, like doing everything because I love doing it. But here it's gonna be even more. Like I'm gonna be working 7 days a week. I'm gonna be at the casino like 6 days a week. I'm gonna be there in the afternoon till night. Like I'm gonna have no life. Like I'm going to be just doing this show and that's it because I want it to be special. Like I don't half-ass things. Like when I want something to be special, like I put in the work and I make it as good as possible. And yeah, so me and Nick are going to be like a dynamic duo. It's going to be great. We're going to have a lot of time to prepare now because of COVID and everything.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know when it's going to start. It's going to be at least a few more months, probably more like summer, we're guessing. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of work. And once that starts, once we get close to it starting, like I'm dropping everything else that I'm doing right now and just going to be focusing on that.
Yeah,
absolutely. The poker world's very all you, Ryan.
I am. I'm curious. So when it comes to, I think about that Live at the Bike room, that set, and like it is kind of iconic now. I'm pretty sure people would say, like, what are going to be the differences for you? Not even just like from a set perspective, but are we talking like more cameras, different angles? Like, what are you thinking from a producing standpoint that's going to make this different from Live at the Bike?
Well, the most basic thing is, it's just going to be, the set's going to be nicer. Like
that's cool.
The casino's investing a lot. I won't say exactly how much, but a lot of money into making a really super sick set. Like we presented a bunch of options. We had a contractor like draw out how each set would look and this is how much it would cost and whatever. And we presented to Larry Flint, who's the owner of the casino, and he just picked the most expensive, most extravagant one. And so it's just going to have colors and elements, and it's just going to be crazy. It's just it's basically in the back of the poker room that we're going to be using. It's like a stage, and it's like a glass doors around it, and it's just going to be like if you're in the poker room, like you're playing, everyone sees it in the back there on this stage, and you're watching.
That's so sick.
So it's going to be really cool, and so there's that, and we're going to be, getting like the best equipment. We're going to get TV quality equipment. So, there was some, Live at the Bike was good, but it was, you could tell it was a stream as opposed to like a TV show. It didn't have like the best sound or the best, cameras. And we're going to be upgrading that and trying to make it as close to TV quality as possible. So that, people have that great viewer experience. What else? I mean, we're going to have more poker. We're going to have better shows. The bottom line is like, me and Nick are going to be willing to like invest, willing to put money in, willing to put our time and energy in to do whatever it takes to make these shows amazing. Right. Like it was just a little, I won't say exactly why, but it was a little different because there were things I wanted to do that we just couldn't do. Like I was like hamstring, like it was like, well, I want to do this. Well, let's just do this. That's not the case here. Like, we're going to do whatever it takes. Like, if I have to, like, fly someone out to, like, play on the show, like, put them in, some 5-star hotel, like, I'm going to do it. Like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get someone to play. Like, we don't have to, like I said before, like, we're not going to do people favors. We don't have to like, oh, well, the casino wants this player or this owner wants this player. Oh, let's let this commentator play. Like, no, that's not it. Every show is going to be super sick, as good as possible. And trying to make it special.
It sounds to me just like, management is going to be super open to helping you do those things to attract those players in the game too. So I'm really, I
cannot wait. It's going to be amazing.
The vision I have in my head of it, it just sounds ridiculous. I'm so looking forward to this.
Yeah. I mean, I don't care if I lose money from doing this. Like, I just want to make a super sick show that, everyone's going to be happy with, that, people are going to like go up to me in a few years and be like, wow, like this is such a great thing you did. Like you're amazing. Like that. I love that stuff. I love seeing random people that I don't know in Vegas or whatever that come up to me and they're like, oh my God, you're the Live at the Bike guy. Like your show is so cool. Like that's what I care about. Like I love, just people appreciating the show and just people knowing that that's what I do. And like, I don't know, it's just something like, that's just something that I always care about a lot. And I just want to make it, something that people can constantly talk about. I love, waking up and seeing that Joey Ingram just put a video out about a hand from our show or something, or Doug put a video, like that stuff, like that was what, when our prime at Live at the Bike, like that's what was going on. And then once I left, I kind of, that stuff, you didn't see that stuff as much. Like, the show wasn't the same. And I just think, you look at how excited people get about Poker Go, about high stakes poker and Poker After Dark. And obviously, like, we're not going to be that, like, it's not the same. Like that's a different strategy they have. They're in Vegas, they're not doing a show every day. They're only doing mostly high stakes games. Obviously our show's different. I'm taking local LA people mostly and developing the characters. I'm trying to just put together the juiciest games possible. I'm going to have the Friday high stakes game, of course. But it's a lot different when you're trying to put together 5 games a week as opposed to just like once in a while putting a game together like they do. So it's a little different. And obviously, they have an unlimited budget with Carrie Cat, so it's a little different. But we're going to be making the most of what we have. And we're going to be the only show out there that's streaming 5 days a week. We're going to have the most poker content available of anybody, on YouTube. And I think people are going to be lined up begging to get in our shows like every day. And that's going to draw a lot of attention to the Hustler. And, not only are we building this show, but me and Nick are also going to be responsible for building up the Hustler Poker Room. And they're trusting us to just get players there and get bigger games. And right now they don't have many big games. And so we're trying to build up the mid to high stakes at Hustler. And we're trying to gradually, I know it's not going to be instant, but once the show gets moving, like we're going to gradually make that room into one of the best rooms or the best room in LA. And we're excited about that as well. Just kind of like building something special from the ground up at Hustler.
Absolutely. Well, we cannot wait to see it. It sounds like you guys are pouring everything you have into this show, and Hustler definitely made an amazing investment in both of you. And we cannot wait. Thank you so much for coming on today. Do you have any closing things you want to say?
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. Like Bryce said, this has been such an interesting conversation, learning more about your producing and ESPN and how much you love the state of Connecticut. So thank you again. We appreciate you, Ryan.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much. Take care. Shoot, totally cut him off. But we have a few hand histories for you guys. Where do you want to start out, Ryan? Do you want to start out with some hero calls, or what are we doing?
Let's see. Where do we start? Boom. I think we're starting with our dear friend Matt Biner.
Awesome.
This one is a doozy of a hand.
I have not seen it, but we will try to be fairly quick. Sorry. We got about 12 to 15 minutes.
This was sent to me in big blind, so this could have been 2-5 to be honest with you, but I just ran it as 51, so it makes it easy for big blinds. So we're opening to 3 big blinds, pretty standard here with the Jack 10 suited and the hijack. Call from the button and big blind. We go to a flop where we are open-ended with a backdoor flush draw. We're check 2. What do you size?
Totally zoned out a little there. What was all right? We opened a 3 pre-flop. Okay, yeah.
We opened a 3. We get a call from button and big blind.
Yeah, I mean, depends on obviously how aggressive the opponents have been. I'd size anywhere from probably 40 to 60%, considering there's 3 players in the hand. I'm probably looking to go about 45 to 50% here. We have a ton of equity in the sense that obviously we have backdoor flush draw. We're open-ended. So I don't mind callers here. I don't mind building a pot. So I'm probably going about 45% pot here. What are you thinking?
Right. I think I'm in the same vein as you. I think if you go any bigger than that, you're starting to get into a zone where you're starting to get like hands like 9s to fold where we have a whole lot of equity against. So I agree. 40 to 60 is the range you probably want to stick to here. What do we size? Almost exactly pretty much exactly half pot here. So
I like his sizing. We think very similarly. I like this kid.
We can react well to raises from here too. Like, this is a pretty smooth operation.
Absolutely.
We get 1, 2 callers. Okay.
I mean, we definitely don't have the best hand right now, but
Yeah.
let's see a turn. Let's see a favorable turn. Okay.
That'll do.
We definitely I like the 22.09999. All right, so I'm assuming it's checked to us. We gotta size up big here. I'm looking to go like 16 big blinds.
Okay.
I'm going big. I think that a lot of 2 pairs. Well, not a ton actually. King, queen, king. But if you have a pair plus, I think there are a lot of queen tens, queen jacks. Or I mean, obviously we block both queen ten and queen jack. But I think there are going to be a lot of pairs plus straight draws that aren't going to look to fold. And obviously backdoor diamonds, especially if they have a pair, aren't going anywhere. And we really need to protect. And the fact that both people called on the flop. I mean, if they had a hand like hearts or spades as well. Like back doors, they're just going to fold anyway. So if we think they have a pretty reasonable hand that still has a decent amount of equity, I don't think they're going anywhere. So I'm looking to go like 16 big blinds here. You definitely have to size up, not a question. It's just a matter of how much. I think 16 to 19 big blinds is fine. Yeah. We can go big.
We can go close to, if not pot.
And I think he's probably going to go like 16 to 18 bigs.
Let's see what he does. Actually, I forget.
Wow. Oh, I think that's too small.
Yeah, it is.
I think absolutely we're getting 1 caller. And while, I mean, obviously we want action, but yeah, I'm sure we're getting called here, and it's going to be a diamond river. 100%. That's what's happening.
Oh, we get 2.
Yeah, that's why we got to size up, bro. We got to size up. All right. What's up?
Wow, that's so interesting because I would have thought that the button would have been weighted more towards like queens and pairs on the flop.
Yeah.
But wow, okay. So we're getting we're getting a diamond, obviously. In 3 ways, like I just can't see you being good here with 2 callers. Like maybe if you're heads up, there's more of a portion of the time. But so when we're checked to here, what are you gonna do with the straight on this board?
I'm checking.
You are.
I think one of them might have diamonds. Do we think we lose value? We could elect to go for a bet fold to a check raise, but the problem with that is if they have an ace of diamonds, if they have I mean, I don't see someone having ace queen that often, or even like ace nine. So I don't think people have the ace of diamonds all that often, unless they were literally floating you with backdoor. But I don't know if I bet here. I mean, maybe it's a little soft, but the fact that there's 2 players in the hand, not 1. If there was only one person in the hand, I would probably bet like 35 bigs. But considering there are 2, maybe it's a little too passive, but I'm probably just putting in the check.
Right. I mean,
and I'm willing to call. It depends on the sizing, but I'm probably willing to call a bet of 55%. But if we bet and then check raise, we're just mucking it anyway. And I'm looking to check call at decent sizing here, but I don't think there's any really huge merit in betting.
That's interesting that you say that like the ace of diamonds would turn itself into a bluff here because like, you said ace queen and things like, I don't see button or big blind having a lot of.
Yeah, I don't either. That's the thing. I don't think the ace of diamonds. So like,
I don't know. Honestly, I think a block bet is in order here of something.
How big? Are you betting is like 25 bigs? Yeah. Oh, 100%. That's what blocker bet. We're not going to bomb it.
Right. Exactly. I think you should go like 20 to 25 bigs because I think that.
Yeah, I don't hate it because it makes it hard to check raise. But what are we betting flop turn river? Like, are we I don't know. The issue is what diamonds do we have? Ace queen of diamonds, ace jack of diamonds. I don't think ace jack of diamonds really necessarily bets flop and turn. I mean, they could, but like ace queen of diamonds
absolutely bets turn.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. It could go. I don't do the same thing. You could go either way with this. To be honest, I don't dislike it. I think you went a little too big. I think I would go 25 to 30. Even 23 to 30. Because if you get check raised here, you're snap folding, which at least you're setting yourself up for that. It's not important, but
what would you size here if you did in fact have the flush, or especially the nut flush with like the ace of diamonds block?
I think you bet bigger if you have the nut flush. I think I go like 50, 55, which I think is exploitable because if you're always doing that, like this bet can be exploited if you do have a key blocker, whether it be the ace of queen of diamonds. So that's actually why I look to check, because if I did hit the backdoor flush, I look to go bigger, and we don't want to go bigger here because we could be absolutely crushed. So with that logic, I think I do look to check. But I mean, a bet is okay. I don't mind a bet here.
I just think a little smaller, right? We were thinking in the order of 10 big blinds smaller than this.
Yeah.
We got a fold from the button, which I kind of half expect.
I think God. That's why I check. Like,
and the thing is, like, you make the argument about sizing up on the turn as well, but I think he would make the counter argument that if I sized up on the turn, it wouldn't particularly matter because the button flash.
No, you get more value. That's where it matters because most of the time the flush isn't going to hit. I don't know what you mean by don't matter in the sense that they might call, sure, but overall it's plus EV because the vast majority of the time they're not going to hit this damn diamond flush. So I absolutely think sizing up the turn. Yes, we might lose more money, but over the course of the long run, we're making a ton. So absolutely, yeah, but I'm assuming we fold. I mean, you can call if you're bad, but
he does.
Yeah, I mean, he folds. Yeah.
I mean, what kind of pot odds is he actually getting? What is he shoving 84 into 61? Yeah, it's not even that great, to be honest.
Yeah.
Oof. Gross. That sucks. You just hate to see the diamond when you have Jack 10 suited here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't mind it.
I say we fold and almost put maybe one more hand on to try to cap this at an hour.
Absolutely.
I think we put our hand in. I think it's too fun of a hand not to check.
Let's do it. Oh man.
So we decided to play a best of 3 series for an undisclosed amount of money. But, yeah, this is game 1. I had been dominating this game, and Ryan had recently crawled back in with just luck boxing, smacking top pair.
Yeah, pretty much all I did.
But yeah.
So we're playing this from Bryce's perspective. A pretty fishy raise, I'd say, 907. Who does that?
I mean, I'm snapping the hell out of him.
King 4 offsuit, Bryce. Why are you calling with King 4 offsuit?
I got a king, bro. What you mean?
There you go.
No, let's get it.
And we go to a flop of ace 7 deuce. Oh, I love it. Ace 7 deuce rainbow. Nice dry board.
Gotta love it.
Check. I'm definitely c-betting. I'm probably c-betting small. Yeah.
I mean, I know you're c-betting everything here.
Right. You should probably.
I'm not folding. I don't think you have many 7s or deuces when you're re-raising because you actually do fold a decent amount of buttons.
You didn't 3-bet me.
I know you didn't raise every single button though. I don't see you raising. I don't see you raising 7-3 offsuit. I see you folding that.
Okay, that's probably fair. 7-3 suited though.
Yeah, I mean, you could. You still could have 7. You still have some 7s, but you don't have that many, and you don't have an ace every single day of the week. So like,
and I mean, and people probably are asked the question, if you're betting this small, like, are you just intending on getting called? Yeah, like I know he's gonna call with a lot of hands, including a lot of his king highs, and my intention is to with value bluffs, whatever, to continue and probably go much bigger on the turn.
Yeah.
Especially when it's an ace.
Yeah.
This does bring in the backdoor spade draw. You go with a check, which perfectly reasonable again. And I go 1270 into 31. That's too small.
Yeah, that's really freaking small. I mean, I'm not folding. Even if you have a 7, I don't think this bet makes sense because I think you want more protection.
Right. Right. I totally agree. I think if I have a 7, I guess you could think this is an ace that's, just trying to milk here. But like, even if you had a spade draw, like I would definitely want to be charging you more for that. This is the one thing Jonathan Little talks about at length. Like when on the turn, especially in heads up, you don't, in a 90% of scenarios, you don't want to be betting smaller than half pot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is something that I've been trying to knock into my mind, but I didn't hear. You have an easy call, I think, with king high.
Absolutely.
And a double paired board on the river.
Yeah.
You check. I opt to go half pot. So, I mean, I take a small half pot. What are you thinking here with king high?
I mean, I'm snapping you off all day of the week. You just don't have it most of the time. Like you're telling me you have one of the 2 aces and you decide to the bet actually makes more sense, the turn bet, if you have an ace than a 7. If that's not obvious. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm a non-believer. And I actually think if you have a hand like king queen, you just insta check. Like what? Like that has some showdown value. So either you have an ace, which isn't very likely. There's only 2. I don't think you're betting a 7 with the sizings you chose. So I really don't think this is like that insane of a call. Like I think king high is good here. Like most of the time. Like
a pretty decent percentage of the time king high is double paired. Yeah, I don't fault you for the call either. Would you have been more scared, less inclined to call if I go like full pot? If I just
I'm folding to I can't say that. I might be just stupid enough to call, but I don't think you bet full pot with an ace. I take that back. I'm snapping.
Right.
You're not betting full pot with an ace unless you have pocket deuces. You're not betting that. Like,
but I think given that my hand is, like you said, an ace or nothing here, should I have chosen a more polar sizing?
No, I think I'm calling.
Yeah,
I think turn you should have sized up, and then I could think of a fold on the river. I think you played the turn.
Bring in the spade draw.
Yeah,
but regardless, you do flick in the call, and I turn over the old 9-5 of clubs. No blockers, no nothing. No, I didn't misread my hand. No, I didn't think I had spades. I did that. I tried. I definitely think if I had gone, I don't really know. I don't really know how I think I definitely misplayed the river in thinking that on a double paired board, I could blow you off of a hand like a king high, because it made a lot of sense when you turned over the hand that you were check calling down with king high. I was like, okay. Because I was like, okay, if he has a queen, if he has a jack, if he has like queen jack, something like that, I could maybe barrel him off. But yeah, nice job.
Thank you.
Young man speed, and you caught me.
Yes, sir. But that basically wraps up our podcast today. Thank you so much to Ryan Feldman for coming on. Yes. Ton of fun. And we will see you guys next week.
Yeah, make sure you like and subscribe, please and thank you. It really helps us out. Check out our merch, check out our Instagram, and we will be sure to link Ryan's stuff below as well.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Take care.
See you next week.